Hi, I'm Jimmy and welcome to episode 4 of my sub-3 hour marathon series. Today's episode is all about fueling our workouts. I'll get onto the breakdown of my training week later on in the video, but I really wanted to share some of the things I've learned about fueling workouts because it has had such a huge impact on my training. So everything I'm about to share, I take no credit for. It's all come from Matt Fitzgerald and the 2 books that I've read by him, which are called Performance Nutrition for Runners and Racing Weight. I can't recommend these books highly enough. They are so good. They're written specifically for runners, and I've just found them to be absolutely golden. So definitely go buy them, read them. Probably the main thing that I've learned is that fueling workouts is about so much more than just supplying energy. So previously I used to think in terms of, will I have enough energy or will I have enough glycogen stored to do this workout? If I did, then I tended not to fuel. And by that logic, of course, I wasn't really fueling any workouts because it's pretty rare that we're going to have workouts during the week that are so long or so intense that we run the risk of fully depleting those stores. So I wasn't really fueling many workouts at all. But what I've learned from Matt Fitzgerald is that fueling workouts is probably more about improving recovery. And for that reason, he recommends to fuel every workout, even easy runs, because he says sports drinks have so many benefits. So by sports drinks, he means a drink containing electrolytes, carbohydrate, protein, and probably some other vitamins and things thrown in there as well. We'll talk more about the makeup of these sports drinks a bit later, but basically you're wanting to get the concentration of carbohydrate to be between 6 and 8%. So that's going to allow for fastest rate of absorption and minimal tummy issues. Also, what I didn't realize is he really recommends having some protein in there. So for every 4 grams of carbohydrate in the drink, there should be about 1 gram of protein. And again, we'll talk more about why that's necessary in a bit. So he says there are 7 big benefits in using sports drinks during all workouts. The first one's pretty obvious: hydration. So when we sweat, we lose electrolytes, which of course can't be replaced by water. So we need to be taking that in the form of these sports drinks. The second reason is that obviously it provides more energy. So when we consume carbohydrate in these sports drinks, we're able to use the glucose from those drinks and reserve some of our muscle glycogen supplies, resulting in greater endurance. But interestingly, it's not just greater endurance. Researchers have found that when athletes fuel during the workout, they actually can perform better to a high intensity, even in short workouts where glycogen depletion isn't an issue. So even in like a 20-minute hard effort, where you're obviously not going to run out of energy, they found that athletes perform to a higher intensity when they're having carbohydrate during that workout. Using sport drinks during exercise also results in less muscle damage. So whereas our muscles definitely prefer to use carbohydrates for medium to high intensity exercise, for the longer, less intense, more sustained efforts, we can get up to 15% of the energy we need from protein. And that protein comes from the muscles themselves, breaking down those muscles into amino acids and using that for fuel. So that's why it's really important to have some protein in our sports drinks, because it minimizes that muscle damage. It makes protein more available, so we get less of it from our actual muscles. Another benefit of using sports drinks in our workouts is it results in lower RPE, or rate of perceived exertion. So fatigue is actually controlled by our brain. And when it senses that we might be running into danger by using energy too quickly, reducing our glycogen stores too quickly, it starts reducing the electrical signals it sends to our muscles, essentially forcing us to slow down. But of course, if we're feeding it a steady stream of carbohydrate during that exercise, it obviously knows that and is less likely to kind of freak out and then force us to slow down. It also results in less immune system suppression. So one of the downsides to running is that in the hours after intense exercise, our immune system is actually suppressed. Sports drinks reduce this immune system suppression by providing carbohydrates, which lowers cortisol release during exercise. So what all of these factors essentially add up to is much faster recovery. So when we're having these sports drinks during exercise, it limits dehydration, it reduces muscle glycogen depletion, it reduces muscle damage, it keeps us more healthy because our immune system is less suppressed. So we recover much faster because it doesn't take as much time to rehydrate, doesn't take as much time to replenish muscle glycogen, doesn't take as much time to repair our muscles. And so the result of that is that we can push harder in our next workout, meaning our fitness improves at a faster rate. So it's a pretty compelling case for fueling all of our workouts with sports drinks. Again, it's about much more than just supplying energy. It's really about faster recovery. And as I've applied all of this, I've noticed a big difference in my recovery times. So I fuel all of my workouts now, and it's a bit annoying because you either have to carry a bottle or have a hydration vest or a drinks belt. But, you know, cyclists do it all the time. They'll always have drinks on the frame of their bikes. And I think we runners, the only reason we don't do it is because it's a bit annoying. It's kind of inconvenient. I personally feel like a bit of a dork doing runs with a hydration vest, but there's no going back for me. It has made such a difference. I'm sold. For pre-workout nutrition, it really depends how much time you have before the workout as to your approach. So if you've got 3 or 4 hours before your workout, Matt Fitzgerald recommends having a meal of at least 100 grams of carbohydrates, and 80% of the calories you have in that meal should be from carbohydrates. So essentially, your energy source in that meal should be high in carbohydrate, low in protein, low in fat, and low in fiber. That's the ideal scenario, but of course, if you're like me and do a lot of workouts early in the morning, it's not really practical to start eating 4 hours before that workout. So we said in that scenario, you're really just trying to get in some carbohydrate that is absorbed quickly. So we're talking simple carbohydrates with a high glycemic index. And you really just need to test to see how much you can stomach without it negatively impacting that workout. So, you know, you can start off with having a banana, an energy drink, and building from there. So I also do a couple of things that Matt Fitzgerald doesn't recommend in his books. And it's not that he recommends against it, he just doesn't mention it. So there are 2 things. I take 6 grams of citrulline malate and 15 grams of collagen before my workouts. So the reason for the citrulline malate, again, it's probably very marginal gains in this, but there is enough evidence to suggest that it does help runners. And it's a pretty cheap supplement, so I think why not take it? So it's been shown to improve blood flow, reduce RPE, and help with recovery. So I take 6 grams of citrulline malate and 15 grams of collagen. So the reason for the collagen is just to see if it helps with my gluteal tendinopathy and my runner's knee. So collagen has been shown to help with joints, tendons, ligaments. So it's not really a performance enhancer, more of, I guess, an overall health, joint, tendon, ligament health. So I'm going to try that and see if it makes a difference. Also, what Matt Fitzgerald does recommend is if it's a really tough workout, take some caffeine beforehand. About an hour before seems to be the most effective window. So caffeine is the most effective legal performance enhancing, I guess, drug, aid, whatever you want to call it, that's available to us. So an effective dose is about 5 milligrams per kilo of body weight. So I take 400 milligrams before my really hard workouts. Yes, you can have it in coffee, but Matt Fitzgerald says it's much more effective and convenient to have it in tablet form. So that's before the workout. Now, during the workout, he says you should be consuming between 30 and 60 grams of carbohydrate per hour. So bearing in mind, this is for workouts, not for races. So for races, you're pretty much just going to have as much as you can. But for workouts, between 30 to 60 grams. And ideally, most of those carbohydrates are going to come from your sports drink. The reason is if you have a gel, that's got to be diluted with water, which is just more stuff to consume, more stuff to have sloshing around in your stomach. So he says you should really choose one option, either go for sports drinks or energy gels, And also for the concentration. So if you don't have water with that energy gel, the concentration is going to be far too high. You're not going to absorb it as quickly or as effectively, and it can create tummy issues. So what I do is I try and get as much as I can from my sports drink, but then I also take the UCAN Edge energy gels, which are a slow release carbohydrate, and they don't need to be diluted with water. So I find that works really well. Between the carbs I get from the drink and the energy gel, I think that's a really good solution. For post-workout nutrition, it turns out that exercise-related muscle damage can continue for quite some time after a workout, up to 3 days in extreme cases, unless we immediately consume carbohydrates and protein. So for this reason, Matt Fitzgerald says that we should consider our runs incomplete until we've had our recovery nutrition. So he says there are 5 goals of recovery nutrition. The first one's obviously rehydration. So we need about 1.6 milliliters of fluid per gram of sweat we lost during the workout. So it's pretty easy to work out how much sweat you lost. You weigh yourself before and afterwards. Make sure you do it in the nude because your clothes will be soaked in sweat afterwards. That's going to throw your result. Don't go to the toilet during the workout because that's going to stuff things up. And obviously take into account any drinks you had during the workout. So you've got to make sure you're getting enough fluid, but of course water alone isn't enough. It can't replace the electrolytes we lose. So a good sports drink or electrolyte mix that mimics the electrolytes we lose through sweat is necessary there. The second goal of recovery nutrition is to replenish muscle glycogen and to do it quickly. It turns out that carbohydrates consumed immediately after exercise can result in twice the amount of glycogen synthesis as the same amount of carbohydrate consumed 3 hours later. And we can maintain that elevated state of glycogen synthesis for up to 5 hours if we then continue to have a small carbohydrate snack every half hour or so. So it's really important to get those carbohydrates in as quickly as possible, ideally straight away, but certainly within a 20-minute window after a workout. The third goal of recovery nutrition is to limit secondary muscle damage. So we've already mentioned before how muscle damage can continue for up to 3 days after a workout unless we consume quickly carbohydrates and protein, but also if we have anti-inflammatory nutrients that limit inflammation and free radical damage. So to do this, we're talking antioxidant vitamins like vitamin C, vitamin E. And the good news is we don't have to have these during that recovery window. So long as we're getting enough in our diet, that's good enough. Omega-3 fatty acids are another powerful anti-inflammatory nutrient. And just like vitamin C and E, we don't need to be having these during that recovery window. So long as we're getting enough in our diet, that's going to be good. Most people don't get enough in their diet. So Matt Fitzgerald recommends supplementing for pretty much everybody. So I take between 1 and 2 grams a day, as well as making sure I eat fish every week as well. Glutamine is another powerful anti-inflammatory nutrient. This one does need to be consumed during that recovery window. So I take 6 grams immediately after exercise, and it's been shown to limit free radical damage and inflammation after a workout. Also, researchers have found that when we eat immediately after exercise, our bodies actually burn more fat in the following hours, which is a good thing because that helps with improving our body composition. And they've also found that fat burning after the workout increases when we have carbohydrate during the workout. So that's pretty cool. The next goal of recovery nutrition is to rebuild muscle proteins. So cortisol damages muscle proteins by dismantling them, breaking them down while we exercise and afterwards in order to access the amino acids they consist of to use those for energy. So it's really important that we consume both carbohydrate and protein. And again, that ratio is important. We should be having 3 to 6 grams of carbohydrate for every gram of protein. And once again, we need to be having that as quickly as possible, ideally within the first 20 minutes after a workout. The last goal of recovery nutrition is replenishing muscle fat stores. This one was a bit of a surprise for me because we all know that our bodies proportionally carry a lot of fat compared to other nutrients we need. So I never really thought of replenishing fat stores as an issue, but it turns out that the certain kind of fat that our body uses for fuel during exercise is indeed very limited. So the fat stored in our leg muscles can be depleted by 2/3 at the end of a workout, which is about the same as our level of glycogen depletion. So it is important we replenish those, but it's a bit more complicated because we don't want to have that fat straight away after a workout because, of course, fat slows down the absorption of carbohydrate and protein and all of that stuff. So Matt Fitzgerald actually recommends that immediately after a workout, we should have little to no fat, but then just make sure a few hours afterwards that we start to replenish those fat stores through healthy sources like nuts, olive oil, fish, but don't have it immediately after the workout when your body really needs to absorb those carbohydrates and proteins straight away. That's all a lot of information, and I've actually made a summary of it and is available as a PDF via a link in the description. So it's just some key takeaways, some key practical points that I've learned from Matt Fitzgerald. And I've also included how I apply it. So I might be right, I might be wrong, but I've included everything I do before, during, and after certain workouts, just in case you find that helpful. Now, all of this stuff can sound very theoretical and very scientific and sometimes off-putting, but I promise you, after applying all this stuff, my recovery is so much faster. On Wednesdays, with my triple days, I do 2 threshold sessions and a big strength session. I wake up feeling absolutely fine the next day, often like I can do another session. Now I've just got back from my long run, I feel great. Whereas previously I'd feel pretty knackered and pretty much be good for nothing for the rest of the day. I'm recovering way faster, and I notice a big difference on my double days. So pretty much every day I do a double, but often they're double easy days. But I'm amazed on a Wednesday for that second threshold session, how strong I always feel despite doing a big session in the morning, because I actually do those workouts pretty close together. They're only 6 or 7 hours apart. But by implementing this stuff, I find that I'm recovered enough to put in a really good effort in that second workout, which is great. Of course, there's a much bigger picture here as well. We haven't touched on general diet. I'll do another video on that because that's another big component. But this one, workout nutrition specifically, I have found this to be a game changer for me. So I hope you find it helpful. Again, check out Matt Fitzgerald's books because they are golden. Another long run in the bank. That was a good one. So up until this point, the marathon power segment of my long runs, I've been doing at my current marathon power. But from now on going forward, I'm going to do the first interval at my current marathon power, but the second one at my goal marathon power. So at this stage, my current marathon power is about 311 watts, and my goal is 325. So, and it felt pretty good today, but while my fitness isn't there yet, what it means is that second interval is essentially another threshold workout. So hopefully that's not too much. So today I had a 10-minute warm-up, an hour at zone 2, 25 minutes in my current marathon power, 20 minutes at my goal marathon power, and then 10-minute cool down. So as I said, it felt good. The first segment where I was at my current marathon power felt controlled, felt smooth, felt really good. My goal marathon power segment, it also felt pretty good. Obviously tougher, because while my fitness isn't there, it is a threshold workout, but I was still happy with it because that interval occurred an hour and a half already into the run. So after running for an hour and a half to do 20 minutes threshold, pretty good. So hopefully, I mean, that sub 3 hour goal still seems a very long way off, but I'm improving every week, getting fitter every week, and that's all we can do. So I'll just keep plugging away, and hopefully each week that marathon or that goal marathon power segment will get easier and easier. So my training this week has been, I wouldn't say disaster, but the episode last week I named consequences because I felt I was dealing with some consequences of poor decisions. Well, those consequences definitely carried into this week. So yeah, last week my long run went really well. I was really happy with it. But afterwards, my knee was shocking, like really bad knee pain. So much so that, I was limping. I was a bit worried, so I knew I had to take it easy the following week. So Monday, I didn't run at all. I just jumped on the elliptical. Attempted to do a VO2 max interval session on the elliptical. Wasn't fun, but better than nothing. Monday afternoon, did my strength as usual. Tuesday, 2 sessions on the elliptical. Now by this point, my knee was feeling a lot better, so I thought I'd test the waters on Wednesday, and I'm glad I did, because Wednesday session was really good. I did my double threshold, and again, just seeing improvements week on week. More power, lower heart rate. So really good double session on Wednesday, or triple session because I did the strength as well. Thursday, elliptical. I ran Friday, 60 minutes easy in the morning, and then the long run today, obviously. So the thing with the knee, I'm pretty sure it's just runner's knee, which isn't serious at this point, but I just need to make sure I keep an eye on it so it doesn't get serious. And I think I've discovered why it's happening, and it's because my left quads are really, really tight. And the reason for that is I haven't been doing any foam rolling. So there's a huge amount of tension and tightness in my quads, and apparently that pulls the kneecap out of alignment and causes issues. So I've been foam rolling my quads a lot, and that seems to be helping a huge amount. So after the run today, I'll ice it, continue to foam roll, and hopefully that'll be the end of it. Fingers crossed. I've just done my long run and no pain whatsoever now. So I'm pretty sure we've got that one sorted, but I'll continue to watch it, keep doing the foam rolling, and ready to attack next week. Hopefully we can have a full week with no interruptions. I'm actually racing a 10K next Sunday. I've never raced a 10K before, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how I do. So make sure you're back next week to see that. I'll film as much as I can of it and hopefully post a good time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week, injury free.